Dia de los Muertos. I will be sharing with you some of the different ways people all over the world celebrate this holiday season. The Day of the Dead, days of the Dead are as follows. October 31st, All Hallows Eve, Halloween, Harvest Home, and this time of year has many other names, and there's a reason that this time of year has so many names. This is the time of year where the veil between the two worlds are the thinnest. So you can reach in and touch a loved one, a departed person that you are close to. It feels like you can just reach in and touch them or have them come visit you and be a part of your life for just a little while. Samhain is the traditional pagan New Year. So this is the end of the pagan year where things start to die. And then November 1st is New Year's Day for pagans. And this is why we have such big parties during Samhain. We are not celebrating any kind of rituals of the devil or anything like that some people may think. We're celebrating New Year's. So Halloween is actually a Christian celebration, and it's funny how some of them turn their backs on Halloween when they created it in the first place, and then have a harvest festival because that's not pagan. So it makes me giggle. It's almost like the more you learn, the dumber you are, because then you find out how much there is out there to learn. So your mind just expands and you just learn all these wonderful things, and you just have to be tolerant and giggle at the people that and love them no matter what. That's what we Unitarian Universalists do. November 1st is Dia de la Innocents, All Saints Day, and November 2nd, Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, or All Souls Day. And even the church celebrates, the Christian church celebrates these days. So today we will be celebrating our departed loved ones that have passed before us. We definitely need to take this time to pull the pictures we have. And I'm going to discuss my picture first, and then we will let everyone discuss their pictures. So this is a picture that my aunt painted, which was for my dad. This is Panama City Beach, where we vacation every year. And vacationing every year in this beautiful paradise of a beach was so important to us. And as children, we would go swim in the ocean, and my dad would sit in this chair outside the little cottage that we rented every year and watch us. You notice how far the chair is from the actual water. So if we were in trouble, it would take him a while to get to us. So needless to say, he was watching, but we were very good swimmers. Thank goodness. But this was painted after his death because my aunt always remembered him sitting in this chair watching the kids swim in the ocean. So that is my picture. I would like to call on people individually. If they have pictures, raise your picture and I will call on you to talk about your picture. Jan, let's talk about your picture. You need to unmute yourself.
The door is probably going to have the doorbell ringing any minute now. This is Carrie, and all of you are aware that he recently died after many struggles with his heart and all the systems connected to your heart. So his death is in the near past, and there is a bit of a hole in my day, in my life. but there's a little bit of relief too that, of course, he's not suffering anymore. So, and I just thought I've never brought my parents along. Those are my parents. Whoopsie. Trying to get okay. And see that I look exactly like my mother. And my dad would be both of them would be well over 100 years. And they are in a mausoleum type affair in Madison, Wisconsin, along with one of my brothers. And I didn't think to look for pictures of my brothers, but both of my brothers have also died. So nothing very exciting, but that's my family. And there aren't too many of us left, my sister and I, besides 350 cousins, but that's a whole other story.
Wow. Who else has a picture? Jane, let's talk about your pictures.
Unmute, Jane.
You have to unmute yourself, dear.
Sorry. If I had to hold up a picture of everyone in my family that I've loved and loved me and that I miss, there isn't enough room on this screen by far. But these are my parents, two good, loving souls, and I miss them every day. And they're up in my hometown in Franklin, Indiana, and that's where they were born and grew up, in that area. So that's very appropriate for them. That's it.
Wonderful. Who else has a picture? Sarah? I see a hand.
Yeah, hi. I am going to share two on the screen since I'm Oz as well as the witch today. The first is of my dad. Hopefully you can see that.
What great pictures. What a funny
he,
guy.
Well, he was not so funny all the time, but when he was funny, he was really funny. And so I put together a PowerPoint for his 80th and 85th birthdays, and always included some of his joking things, particularly the one on the right, which is the Scottish one, which we got him when we did a roots trip to Scotland. His family wasn't from Scotland, my mother was, but he got into it. So
That's awesome.
that's my dad. He passed 2.5 years ago. And then I want to share Emma, who's my husband's mom, who passed this past February. And she was extraordinary in a lot of ways. She passed at 95, and she waited until both of her children's birthdays were over in February. And she died the day after Mike's birthday at about 2 o'clock in the morning. So she just willed herself to live through until she could see as many families as possible and celebrate her daughter and then her son's birthdays. And then she decided it was time for her to leave. So she was a very strong woman and a wonderful mother-in-law for me.
That's lovely. I love the way you shared that. I see Judy is waving at us. Judy, you need to unmute yourself.
Well,
There you
I
are.
thought that I would share this picture of me and my husband. This was taken probably, I would say, about 14 years ago. He died, I think, maybe 3 months after this one was taken. So there we are. And where is he? Why, he's in his office at Stetson. That's
Of course.
where he always was. And he was in the classroom until 2 days before he died. So yeah, we should all go out like that. I mean,
Yes.
wow, what a guy. I have another one I want to share.
Okay.
Now, this is a picture of me and my former daughter-in-law, Kim. She lives, she and Eric married in San Francisco, and were married for 15 years. And she died a year ago, October. In the picture, you will have no trouble telling which one is Kim because she's the one with hair. Now I'm the one, and we are literally, I am holding her up because she died of a neurological, syndrome. And 2 or 3 years, this was about 3 years before she died. And her life and just got tinier and tinier, but her spirit was huge. So I miss her. I'm just like Jan, though. The 1 year anniversary came and I could not feel sad because she was honestly released from a lot of pain and suffering. So anyhow, that's the two of us. And we're in front of the botanical gardens in the Golden Gate Park. That's the end for me for today.
That's wonderful. Would anyone else like to share a picture? Oh, there's Andrew. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Andrew.
Sorry, I couldn't find a larger picture, but I'll zoom in as best I can. That is my mother, Sini Goldberg Meat. And this picture, it was taken in 1980, 82, 88. When she is in Sarasota going to the Ringling School of Art and Design and got a degree in interior design. But you have to understand, she was one of the oldest students in the classroom. She had already been doing interior design work for 20 years, 25 years. And so this was sort of like to get her certificate. But she's the one who influenced me, encouraged my art and everything. And I'm very grateful for going to many museum visits and galleries and artist lectures that she and I attended and so forth. So just wanted to share that.
That's lovely. Thank you so much for that. Anyone else
Thank
like to share? You're welcome. I see Holly up in the corner. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Holly.
Hi.
Hi, I like your hair. I like your hair piece.
I ran around and I knew where my flowers were, but I had forgotten them before I saw yours and I went, oh, I have to go grab those.
Gotta go get them.
Celebrate.
Yes.
These are my parents, Reno and Betty Backus. My dad was one of the very first pediatric neurologists in the country.
Wow.
And he followed in his father's footsteps as a doctor, as his brothers did. But he was the one who also followed his father's footsteps and ended up with Alzheimer's at the end of his life.
Oh.
Yeah. And mom, meanwhile, on my mom's side of the family, she developed Parkinson's. It was pretty mild for a number of years. But late in life, they were in an assisted living facility as he was getting worse. And mom ended up with a radical mastectomy on one side, and that kicked in everything with her Parkinson's. But as you could tell by my dad's expression, he was a very fun-loving person. Judy's picture, I think with the dad with the big glasses and the hats, that's the type of stuff my dad always did. You could see him in a moose hat one time and a hat with a fish hanging out the front and the back on another. He was the life of the party in many ways. And my mom would be the one who would throw the parties, organize, and have the food and drink. And they would have friends and neighbors and my dad's colleagues over and things, and us kids too, here and there, in and out, because there were 6 of us. So they were an incredible influence in my life. And I was blessed to be able to make it back to Minnesota to spend time with each of them and be present for their final breaths. And I am so grateful for that.
So wonderful. What great memories.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. Would anyone else like to share? Oh, and there's Stephen. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Stephen.
Sure, there we go. Well, the bottom 4 are still alive, including me. My mom and dad passed in 2005 and 2006. And as you can see in this picture, everybody's laughing, and laughter and good food and wonderful times were the #1 issue for them. And the memories I have more than anything, beside the fact that my mom and dad supported us as children to go for whatever it was in our lives we wanted to be involved with. It always comes down to this huge, long dinner table with families, multiple families when we were young. And then as we grew up and had our own families, you know, if you go down to a 2.5 bedroom townhome in Boca Raton and 4 families show up and there's, you know, almost 20 around the dining room table, we crosstalk so much that many of our spouses can't keep up. And just this past end of July, early August, we had a reunion up in Albany, New York, and the laughter and the crosstalk and everything else was right there. And my mom and dad are always a part of our lives. But for me specifically, my dad especially shows up as a butterfly. And always when I'm having some difficulty, if I'm trying to overcome sadness, especially, he shows up and he dances and says, get your ass back into the happy spot. And I visit with them in visions as well. They were fortunate enough when they passed to go back in time to a time before all of us kids were around. And I can vividly tell people about their apartment that I never saw, okay, where they are now forever in love. And so they are still a very important, almost daily part of my life. I have things on my keychain that their townhome key, the giveaway that Erie Steel Company used to give, that was my dad's company. Just they're never out of my thoughts. That's for sure.
That is so lovely. So lovely. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're most welcome.
Would anyone else like to share a picture or a story? Okay. I don't see anyone else raising their hand. So then we will continue. I have a story to tell. I have told this story before, but we have some wonderful new people that have not heard this story. My father was the most upstanding, righteous, gentle, kind person that you would ever know. And he was also a dentist. So that really helped in his dental career by having very loyal patients, because he was such a kind and gentle person. So you will find this story very funny, knowing the kind of person he is now. I hope you enjoy it. I have to tell you a funny story that happened between my dad and myself when I was about 12 years old. Now, to set the story up, you must realize how completely straight my dad was. He didn't cuss or whine or complain or speak badly of others at all. He was always helpful and kind. He was the most righteous, dignified, and upright person I'd ever known. He taught us to respect and love others. He witnessed by wearing a fish hook on his bow tie, so that when people asked him if he were a fisherman, he would say that he was a fisher of men. That would lead to an invitation to church. Now, we had some lakefront property that we shared with 3 other families to boat, fish, and ski. One warm spring day, as we were trying to clear some land to get ready for the season, he had a brilliant idea to set fire to it. Now, it wouldn't be a problem because we had a very large water tank on the camper hooked up to a hose that just needed a bicycle pump for pressure. So he directed me to pump up the pressure to get ready to put out the fire when he said so. I was pumping and pumping and pumping for about 10 minutes so that we definitely would not have a problem. Now the hose had a spray head attached so we could get a really good stream if necessary. And then we dug a trench on the other side of what we wanted to burn so that it wouldn't go any further. Then he lit the undergrowth, and boy, did it burn. When he was satisfied, he said, "Okay, Kay, turn on the water." I said, "It is on." Then he yelled back, "Pump, Kay, pump." "I am pumping," I yelled back. Just then, the wind kicked up and blew the flames into the trees. Pretty soon, the whole woods were set on fire. There were houses not too far away, so my dad was panicking. I'd never seen him like this. It scared me so much. The part attached to the camper with the hose was blocked, and we couldn't get any water out. We tried to bring up buckets from the lake, but it was to no avail. All we could do was watch it burn. Soon we heard sirens. The fire department was called, apparently, and they came and put out the fire. My father was issued a citation and had to appear in court. Wow, my dad was an arsonist? My mom was completely mortified. There he was in criminal court with the pickpockets and the cat burglars. He got a fine and a little probation. Dad has a record. It's a funny story to tell later, not right away, but everything we experienced together is in my memory, mostly good. I'm so sorry, Dad. I had to tell it again. Let us continue on now to the conclusion of our service.